Welcome to our webinar on pulling on leash. So 5 easy steps to help us teach our puppies how to walk with us in a way that is fun and stress-free. My name is Stephanie Williams. I am a One Mind Dogs instructor. I've been an instructor for 5 years now, and I'm also a professional dog trainer here in the States. And I'm going to teach you today these steps based on the One Mind Dogs method, which is a method that came to be because of a very special dog that you see here. Her name is Tekla, and she belonged to our leading coach and founder, Janita Leinonen, and they live in Finland. Tekla has now since passed away, but Tekla was competing with Janita in agility, and at one point began to lose her hearing, and eventually lost it completely. And so Janita wanted to, of course, keep working with her and keep training. And what she started to realize as she kept on working with Tekla was that Tekla understood her body language and understood it really easily. And so from there, she started to realize that there was a way that she could communicate with Tekla to help her understand what she was trying to train using body language and rewards, which is this is our way of using the dog's natural language. And then she started to test it with other dogs and saw that it spread and worked really easily. And so now, since those times, we have been practicing this method with thousands of dogs over the entire world. And we've really seen that this is their natural way of understanding us. And so it makes training go really quickly, and makes it a lot less, kind of feel like it doesn't feel as stressful as we're working with our puppies. It makes it fun. And it makes it that we become like the source of all the good things. We get the magical connection going with them that we're really hoping to create, I think, that all of us are here for with our puppies. And so that all originated from Tekla. And so throughout this presentation, we're going to remember that body language is our pups' natural language. And so that's one of the main ways that we're communicating to them alongside with using rewards. So how do we use rewards? What are we using to reward our puppies with? And then if we're thinking from their perspective and understanding their point of view, then training becomes a lot easier. So we'll be talking about that quite a bit today as well. And so we're all hoping, I think, for this really like fun, easy, stress-free walk. And it really is just a few steps away. Like, I think it can feel kind of like a lot to teach, but if you're teaching the basic skills, and this is what we're going to get into today, like what are the little things that sometimes tend to be missed in some cases, that if we teach these, our puppies have a really good foundation, of a really good beginning with the skills of walking on leash, and we have something strong to build on. Okay, so we'll show you these beginning steps, and it's really important that we practice these and then build on them from there. So what you'll notice is that as we go through each of the 5 steps, that they kind of do build on each other, okay? But the important thing is to remember these basic steps are really important, even if they seem like simple, and we really want to make sure that we're practicing them. But don't forget that pulling on leash is a challenge that most people, most dog owners, dog trainers are experiencing with their dogs. It's really normal. And why do dogs do it? They do it because, well, they want to get to where they want to go. They want to get there kind of now, like really quickly. So they don't tend to have a lot of patience. That's a skill that we have to teach them. And they're very interested in their environment and what's out there. The world is full of a lot of really cool things that they want to explore and see, and they kind of want to get there now. So we have to teach them skills like patience, like connection, so paying attention to us, looking at us, making eye contact. These are things that we have to build in them, because if dogs are just looking at the world, then that's what they're thinking about. And so if they're thinking about the birds and the squirrels and the things that they see, then they're really in a hurry to get towards those things and go there quickly. And if you've ever watched off-leash dogs, they tend to go really fast. They like to run, and the human pace is a little bit slower, or maybe a lot slower, depending on who you are. And so we want to teach them how to walk with us at our pace. And so that involves these important little basic skills that we're going to show you. But just remember that this is something that everyone encounters. And at the end of the presentation, you'll see my own puppy and see how that's going with her. And hopefully that will give you a sense of like how this training tends to progress. But with practice, you can get to where you have that walk that feels like that joy, that magical connection where you're just out in the world with your dog, enjoying everything together, and it's fun and stress-free. So we can definitely get there. These are the points that we're going to touch on today. making eye contact, so looking at your puppy and your puppy looking at you, and having that together feeling of being teamed up. And eye contact is also a very important bit of body language, where like when we're looking at our puppies and they're looking at us, like they feel teamed up with us, we have the communication going. So we'll be talking about that. Name call, so teaching your puppy to answer to his name, and the importance of teaching that in a certain way, because while it can feel like really easy that they understand their name, like for example in your home, when we're outside in the world it can be a little bit different. So we want to make sure we're practicing that carefully. Making it fun to be near you. So we've already talked a little bit about how like the world's full of really interesting things to puppies. So we'll talk about what that means when we're out there with our puppies in the world, and how we can kind of turn the tables to our favor. And teaching that patience, because again, like most puppies don't come with that skill. We have to build it, and there's lots of ways that we can teach patience. We'll show you some that involve like puppies on leash, and I'll show you a couple of other fun ways that you might play that game a little bit with them. And then the importance of a slack leash, which that's what walking together is all about, that your puppy is near you and the leash is loose, so there is a bend to it. It's not a straight line, but a kind of like a J kind of a shape. So slack leash. So we'll talk about all those things, and we'll talk about how like keeping a slack leash for your puppy, they can learn that by doing that, that leads to good things from you, as well as opportunities to explore the environment. So all of those things, and you can see how they'll kind of build on each other, and we'll talk a bit more about that as we go along. All right, let's go to the next one. So eye contact being our first step that we're going to talk about today. So your puppy looking up at you, you looking at them, and having that eye contact connection. And by teaching eye contact, we can get them to like kind of be thinking about us as well as what's in the world. Because like we said, puppies are interested in what's in their surroundings. And if they're only looking at that and not looking up at us, then they're thinking much more about those things and kind of in a hurry to want to get towards them because they're interested in those things. So by teaching them to look at us, we kind of keep us on our puppy's mind a little bit more, or maybe a lot more, hopefully. And also that if they're periodically, as they're walking, just kind of looking up at you and then looking back, they'll naturally slow down a little bit and stick by you. And as we reward them for doing that, they're going to want to stick by you even more, because rewards are what make habits stronger. So they're making behaviors more likely to happen, because we're making it that it's really awesome when your puppy looks up at you. So if each time they look up at you, they get praise from you and they get a little cookie, or you play with them a little bit, then they're going to do more of that. And then that makes it that rather than just focusing on the whole environment, that they're connecting with you and they're like realizing that good things happen by doing that. And then they will naturally stick by you for that reason as well. Okay, and it does help them to learn a little bit of patience too. And you'll see that in this video that I am going to show you now. So this is the beginning steps of teaching eye contact, where we want the puppy to learn to do what we call offering it. So rather than like us kind of prompting the eye contact, you'll see in this video, and we'll watch it in detail, that we're waiting for the puppy to actually like choose to look away from the treat and at. This is Janita actually doing the training here, so our leading coach and founder. And so here the puppy's staring at the treat, looking at the treat, and they'll probably bark at it, they'll jump on it, they'll try to lunge toward it, do things that puppies do. But we're gonna just wait. And we're going to let them think about it. And as they start to realize that, hey, like if I just happen to look at my human, I'm going to get that reward, then they learn that eye contact is a rewarding behavior. It has value. It's a good behavior to be doing. And they also will learn that they get what they want through you. So a really good, like 2 lessons in one there. And they learn to be patient. So it does take a little bit of patience for them to kind of stop and think and realize that by glancing up at you, they're going to get good things. Okay, so here we'll see that as soon as the puppy looks at Janita, that praise and a reward are going to happen. And that's really important, that it's not just about the treat, it's also about the praise. So knowing how your puppy likes to be praised is really important. What kind of tone of voice, certainly smiling at them, like that. These things matter a lot, because we've learned that dogs have taught us that praise and rewards together are the most rewarding things. So make sure you're praising and giving a cookie, or praising and playing, or those things together really activate their brain. Okay, and that's the beginning step of teaching eye contact, that we teach it where it's offered like that. And then there are of course more steps to take to build that skill, but that's the start. And so if you're practicing that one in your home and you're practicing it maybe in your backyard and front yard, and then outside a little bit as it gets stronger and stronger, then you're going to already have a nice basis for your puppy to just offer you that skill of eye contact, to just look up at you and say, hey, if I happen to look up at you, will I get praise and a reward? And that's what we want them to start thinking. And then we start to get that connection going. Okay, so eye contact being a really important first step to creating these nice, fun, stress-free walks. All right, let's go to our next slide, which is teaching your puppy about their name, which it really, I think, like I've said before, can easily seem like puppies understand their name, because when you say their name inside your house, then they usually will easily respond. And so it can seem like, oh yeah, they really get it. But then when we go outside, then there's all sorts of stuff out in the world that they're interested in. These things that we kind of think of as distractions, which we'll talk more about. And when we're out in the world and we call the puppy's name, sometimes it doesn't work as easily. And so that kind of means that we need to practice that. But a reliable name call comes in really handy, because if your puppy, like for example, if you have your puppy on leash and you can see that they're like forging a bit ahead and they're just about to pull, which we can kind of see that moment like right before the leash actually becomes tight. If you can call your puppy at that time, then your puppy will turn back to you. And now we've prevented pulling from even happening, and we've gotten that connection back and had an opportunity to again make it rewarding for our puppy to be near us and turn toward us. So again, shifting all of that like good stuff from the environment and to us. Because if you think about what's in the world from a puppy's point of view, these things like birds and squirrels and other dogs and people and all the stuff that puppies really are interested in, scents, sounds, things that move, then they want to explore all these things. And we, like, I think as owners and trainers tend to call these things distractions. But I kind of like, if you think from the puppy's point of view, they're sitting out there and there's a squirrel and you're there. And you're maybe trying to get puppy's attention. I kind of think that they're not sitting there thinking, going, that squirrel is really distracting. I think they're sitting there thinking like, oh, it would be really rewarding to chase that squirrel, right? And so if we teach eye contact and we teach a name call and we make those things really rewarding from us, then that squirrel becomes less rewarding because the good things come from us. And rewards, again, are praise. They are your puppy's favorite treats. They can be play. There's other ways, even more, that we'll talk about for how you can reward your puppy. But that's sort of it, that we're shifting the rewards back to us using these little exercises. So let's take a look now at how do we train a name? How do we get our puppy to begin answering to their name? Yes, this one. And first we're going to start, again, really simple. This is an exercise you're going to start inside your home with nothing else going on around that's going to be like catching your puppy's attention yet. And you'll see here how we're going to say the puppy's name and then feed a treat. All right, say the puppy's name, feed a treat. And this is how we're going to start to build this association, this connection between the puppy's name and a reward. Okay, and so if we repeat that, and each time you say your puppy's name, they get a little piece of cookie, and you do that in your home, and then take it in the backyard, the front yard, and practice it that way, before you know it, your puppy will easily begin answering to their name, because they've learned that whenever they hear that sound from you, they're going to get a really good reward. Okay, so that's what we're trying to build with that one. And again, really important to practice that first step, that really simple first step, before we start to try it outside. So teach it inside first, and then we can build on it. And that way we have a strong beginning with that one. And now what I'll show you is what it will look like in the next step. So once you've practiced that a little bit, now maybe we have the leash on. And inside your home, again, you can practice this. It's always great to start inside, where there's not as many competing rewards. There are no birds and squirrels inside your home. And put your other dogs away if you have multiple dogs. And here we're going to just like walk around a little bit with your puppy on leash in your home. If they start to forge ahead, call their name and change direction. And when they come towards you, you can reward. And so here we're using those rewards to build that response to your name. And then also, you can see that body language is involved, because as we've got the eye contact, but also as the puppy forges ahead and the trainer calls the name, that bit of a change of direction that you saw, and we can go back and look at it a little bit more, that is also natural body language for a dog. So they follow the way that we move on their own, just by their own nature. Okay, and so you've seen that probably by just running around with your puppy a little bit, that they will just follow you really easily. And so we can use that to help them understand just by moving in a particular direction and calling them, and then they come with us. Okay, so that can help a lot as well. All right, so that name call practice is really going to be a big help. And then when we're out walking with our puppy, and then we're watching them, because again, we've already talked about eye contact, that you can, as you see that maybe, okay, they're about to pull, that you call the name, and then when they come towards you, really good rewards and praise. Okay, so name calls, really valuable learning. All right, let's go to the next one, which is making it fun to be near you, which is one of my favorite topics to think about when we're training dogs. Because again, from their point of view, if we think about their perspective and they go outside and they're like, the world is full of all of these things that activate their senses. So things that have scent, things that move, things that have sound, and all of these things that they want to check out and go to. And all of these things, I think from a puppy's point of view, are rewards, are opportunities to be rewarded. It's fun to say hello to another dog. It's fun to greet a person. It's fun to smell things. It's fun to chase a squirrel. I assume. I've never done it, but I think it's probably fun from your puppy's point of view. But we can make it fun to be near us by knowing what our puppies find rewarding. So probably your puppies like treats. Pretty much every dog likes to eat. It's knowing what kinds of treats do they like. So we do want you to try out different kinds of little bits of treats. So their kibble are really great to work with. And maybe they also like little bits of cheese or little bits of chicken that you've boiled and are plain, or little bits of hot dog. So try different things that your puppy might really like. So that way, when you're out there and you know, okay, my puppy really is interested in other dogs, but I have this reward that they like even better than other dogs, then it makes it easier to be rewarding. See what kinds of toys do your puppy likes. Do they like to play with you? And teaching play is also a really helpful way of teaching your puppy to want to be near you. Okay, so playing with them and making it that it's fun to be with you. Really worthwhile way to make it that the good stuff comes from you when you're out and with your puppy, because that just makes it that they want to stick close to you. And we can make things feel game-like in other ways. So exploration of the environment with your puppy, changes of direction as you're walking, so that actual walking feels like a game. All of these are really worthwhile. And of course, rewarding your puppy for making eye contact. And the more rewarding that you are, the more that they will want to stick with you. So rewarding puppies very generously is a really great thing to do. I think many times we tend to not do quite enough of that. So if you feel like you're being like super generous with your rewards, then you are on track with that. And try to reward on pretty much in the moment. So when you're rewarding your puppy, as soon as they look at you, for example, or they're right with you, then that moment you're telling them that yes, you are doing it. You are good. This is what we're building toward. Because if we wait too long to reward, the reward is too late, then it's a little bit taking longer for the puppy to figure out what it is we're trying to get across. So that timely reward right in the moment helps a lot. But let's take a look at a couple of other videos, starting with this one. So just talking a little bit more about just here again, making it rewarding to stick with you. So this is one you can do again inside your home with a leash on, where we have eye contact, we have movement together, we have changes of direction and praise. And already these things are making it super rewarding for the puppy to stick with her person. And then also little bits of treat here and there as the puppy looks up at her human here. And then of course, if your puppy likes a toy, you can play with them as well. But all of these things are coming together to make it rewarding to be near you. So it all feels like a really fun game, and all of that is with you. So you are the source of all those really good things. Okay, so on leash inside the house at first, with the eye contact, moving together, because remember, puppies follow motion really naturally, and changing up your motion like that, varying your pace and your direction, makes it feel like more of a game for them, that it feels like just something fun, because that's how puppies naturally move anyway. They tend to kind of go fast and go slow and kind of zig and zag when they are off the leash. And so if we make that on the leash, then it feels like a fun game with us. And then of course, we're going to reward frequently so that they want to stay with us and they want to keep that leash slack and be close to us. Okay, so all of that kind of comes together and builds so that puppies really enjoy being with us when the leash is on. Okay, and then we also want to take that out into the world a little bit. So we can build on that even further by doing some of these same things when we're outside with our puppies. So for example, little fun games like, hey, go around this tree and then run to me, are other ways that we make it that it's fun to be near you and with you when you're outside with your puppy. And there's lots of stuff in the environment that your puppy is interested in exploring and doing, and they want to do that. And so if we make it that is that happens with us, that's part of our relationship with our puppy when we're outside, then they learn that through us, they get those opportunities. And so it creates a win-win situation that deepens our connection and makes it, again, rewarding to be with us. So here we see that Yanita is just doing some like environment exploration. So like, hey, go under this bench and isn't that fun? Go chase a tree into the grass and sniff a little bit and come back to me, and that's fun too. Go around that tree. So all of these different things that you can do. You can pull out a toy and play when you're outside with your puppy, so that then again, once again, the rewards are coming from you when you are out and about with your pup. Okay. So we'll see a bit more of that. And as you watch this, you can be thinking of like, hey, what does my puppy find most rewarding? And how can I use that? So if your puppy's really toy motivated, what kinds of toys do they like? Do they like a softer toy, or do they like maybe a more kind of a rope toy or a ball? I have found that for my pups who have really been interested in squirrels and birds and things like that, that I will take with me like a soft toy that maybe is like rabbit fur. And one day I was walking and there went a rabbit, and I was like, here's this rabbit fur tug toy, play with me. And my puppy was like, wow, you're magical. You pulled out this toy right when there was this little furry creature nearby. I can get that same fun from you. And then now like birds and squirrels and bunnies are not that interesting because I have those good things. So we can be looking for those opportunities all the time as you're out and about and doing this exploration with us. All right. So just making it super fun to be near you and with you when you are out and about. All right, let's go to the next one, which is teaching patience, which puppies, again, they don't tend to come with that naturally. Some of them do, but for the most part, we have to start to introduce that, like how to wait for things that they really want. And there's lots of ways that we can teach that. And when it comes to walking on leash, patience will help them to keep a slack leash. So to stick near us and walk at our pace also will help to build those things, but we have to teach it and we have to be consistent about it too. So once we start to introduce this idea of being patient, keeping the leash slack, sticking near you, then we also have to watch out that if they do begin to pull us, we have to help out with that. Because if they pull us, and then we go with them, then it gets a little bit inconsistent and then a little bit less clear. So really making sure that we always keep the same thing, that we're like being super consistent, right? So we'll look first at how we introduce this idea of a slack leash, all right? And we're going to start it just again inside your house. So you can tether your puppy to something nearby, like a stable object, and then on the leash, and then you're going to have some rewards with you. And here first, we're going to help the puppy to slack the leash just by throwing a reward. And now we're going to wait to see, does the puppy offer keeping that leash slack? Okay, so the idea is that they learn that by keeping the leash slack, so meaning that they're not feeling the pressure of that leash tugging on them, that there's none of that, that the leash is slack, that they're going to get rewarded for that. Okay, so we'll throw them a reward there, or we can feed them from their hands when the leash is slack. And if they pull towards you and they tighten the leash, then we're just going to ignore that a little bit and let them start to figure out and offer to you again that if they loosen the leash, that's when the good things happen. So here again, okay, the leash got a little bit tight. All right, and then we'll wait a little bit and we'll see, does the puppy slack the leash? And then we'll start to reward for that again. So good things are happening when the leash is slack. And they have to have a little bit of patience for that, but this will help them to learn that as you go along. So there it goes, the leash got loose, and we can praise them and even add a verbal cue that helps them understand that it's time for a loose leash, okay, like the word leash or a verbal walking cue. And then we're going to reward that so that we can help them to keep that leash slack that way. All right. And then we'll begin to build on that. So I'll show you the next step, because first we want them to be really good at that in the house, just really simple like that. And then we're going to teach them how to do that same thing with some distraction. Actually, wait a minute. There's one I wanted to show you. It's this one before we get to that one. I think. Yes. Okay, so same setup, but then we have to start to also do little things like moving around and adding distraction for the puppy. Okay, so for first, just standing still to teach it. And then we're going to start to do things like jump around a little bit, move a bit with the puppy, so that they realize that it's not going to just be this one quiet situation. It's going to be that we build on it and add some distraction. All right, so we'll be adding that in just by little bits of movement, and then we can progress to the next step where we begin to teach the puppy that in order to get to things that they want, that the leash is slack. Okay, but first, again, we have to practice that simple version, that just like keeping the leash slack in a small way, when they're tethered to that solid object, and then when they're tethered to that and you're rewarding them and moving a little bit. And then from there, we can start to say that, hey, even if you want to get towards that bowl on the ground, you'll get towards it by keeping the leash slack and sticking close to me. Okay, so little progressions that build on each other, okay, to help the puppy understand the value in keeping the leash slack and being patient. So it's their way of getting towards and getting to the things that they want, but that also still involves getting rewarded from you. So there's a lot of value in that, just that one skill. And that's what we want them to understand, really, is that by keeping the leash slack and sticking with you, all the good things happen. So good things happen from you in terms of praise, food rewards, little bits of treat, and toys, and also play with you, and also that it's their way of actually being able to get to the things in the environment that they want to explore. So those scents they want to sniff, or opportunities to say hello to a friend with you, things like that. Those environment rewards that we want to build towards. So let's look a little bit now at that. So we just looked at that one. And here we are out in the world with our puppy, okay, doing these same things, that if the leash gets tight, we'll do a name call, we'll do a change of direction, but also that here with this one, we get to keep moving forward when the leash is slack. So puppies want to absolutely do that, keep going forward, keep going towards the stuff that's interesting to them. And so the slack leash and the rewards together will help them understand, by sticking close to you, that they get to keep going forward towards whatever it is in the environment that might be interesting to them. Whereas if the leash is tightened, then we're going to call the name, change direction, and then go back to rewarding for being close to you. So again, we're still teaching them that really what we're teaching them is what should they do instead of pulling, because puppies understand really well what they should do. So it's not saying don't pull, really. It's saying stay close to me. That's the message that we're teaching. That's the lesson. That's the what is the thing they should be doing. So by rewarding that, then they learn to do even more of that. And yes, sometimes they're still going to pull, and that's what we'll do in response, is just stop, call them, change direction. When the leash is slack, we go back to rewarding, and part of that reward is also that we are moving forward and maybe going towards what they're interested in getting to themselves. All right. So all of that building together to create these really fun walks. And yes, we also do need to be patient ourselves, be patient with your puppy, but also be patient for yourself, because you're learning a new skill. And so that too takes practice for us. All right, so it should be a fun thing, stress-free thing that we're working together. And the learning process with your puppy, I think, can be really super fun. When we look at it that way, that, hey, we're both learning a new skill together sometimes. Because each puppy that I train, I always learn something new. So we're always finding new things, and they can often be our best teachers. So now I'll show you a little bit of training with my own puppy. And first, I'll show you a little fun video that I like to, I teach with my puppies in terms of teaching patience, because there's other ways we can teach it. Okay. Here I'm throwing a toy, and I taught my puppy to sit and wait for her release word. So the okay to go get the toy. And that was the first step of it, is just to wait for it. And now I throw the toy even farther. I'll say her release word to it. Okay. Wait. And then I'm going to say wait and ask her to stop. Okay. And then go back. That's a little bit more advanced. Super. But these are just fun games that I do to kind of, oh, there's Dash always jumping. Little games that I do to teach the idea of patience in other ways. Because if you approach it in all those different ways, then we can really make that a solid skill. So even if you've taught a sit and like an okay to go to the food bowl, for example, when you feed them their meals, you're teaching patience that way. And then finally, I will find it and show you me and my puppy. out and about in the world
Good
practicing these
girl.
things. Now she's 6 months old now. So we've been practicing a bit, and what you'll see is that it's not yet perfect. Sometimes the
Wow.
leash does get a little bit tight,
Wow,
but she looks back at me
super.
and I
Good
reward her.
girl.
And then we keep on going. And with the
Wow.
slack leash, we'll go forward.
Good
A couple of times
girl.
I've called her here and there because I've
Super.
seen that the leash is about to get
Angel,
tight, but we're in a park here.
super. Good job.
That like
Angel.
it's a place that a lot of dogs walk. It's full of scents.
Angel.
There are
Oh,
deer,
so
there are bunnies,
smart.
groundhog, all kinds of different animals.
Wow.
And here I'm just, hey, let's do
Okay.
a stop and a sit, and then I'll
Super.
say a release word again. But oops, the leash got tight, so let me call her
Angel,
back.
wait a minute.
She's a little bit
Sit.
excited to be here, but we're
Super.
just still making it
Wait.
really rewarding to be near me.
Awesome.
And that those
Awesome.
opportunities to
Hold on,
sniff
I
and
gotta rock
explore
my shoe.
happen
Hold on.
with me. So I'll often
Good
say, hey,
girl.
let's
Okay.
stop and sniff this bush.
Sit,
We both
monkey.
were able to walk together
Sit.
to this place with a
Super.
slack leash. So let's check it
Good
out and we'll explore
job.
together.
Wait.
Or I'll throw
Good job.
treats.
Okay.
Or let her like kind of climb up on a bench or go
Yeah.
under it, like
Good for
you saw
you.
Yanita doing, or those little like
Okay.
kind of
Go sniff.
fun send around a tree.
There she goes.
Puppies love to do stuff like that because
Good
it's
girl.
involving motion and it feels like play with you, and it's exciting. And that excitement is all about being with you. So that's all the important stuff. And there again, the leash got a little bit tight, but I called her back and she turned right back toward me. Again there. And
Good
again,
monkey.
she did it once more. She
Super.
offers me a
It's
lot of
very
eye
hard to
contact.
film
Oops, we got a little
training at the
wrapped
same
up there. Hey, it
It
happens.
really is, but you're so cute.
So it's
Everyone
not
can
that
see
we're
my
trying to
purple
be
cracks.
like be perfect,
Sit.
but like we're just working
Super.
towards it, and so it gets better
Okay.
and better as we practice.
Super.
And you can see that she looks super happy to be exploring with me
Good
like that,
girl.
and I'm
That's
enjoying
great,
it too.
monkey.
We're having fun
That's so
together.
good. Awesome.
So that's what the goal is, right? And as she grows and goes through adolescence, we'll keep on practicing. And we'll get better and better at it until eventually, like
Angel.
those food
Wow,
rewards will be
good
less
girl.
part of it, and it'll be a
Super.
lot more
Good
praise and
job.
exploration and
Sit.
that kind of thing.
Wow.
That we'll be doing
Bravo,
together
you're
as
so
a group.
cute.
And even
That's
involving
an
my other dogs
excellent
and doing
puppy.
little
Sit.
group walks,
We're gonna
which
make
is
sure
our
we
next goal,
reward you so that you
to be
keep
working
sitting.
together too. So
There we go.
so there you go.
Sit.
That is
Super.
our easy steps to build towards loose leash
Wait.
walking, and they do build on each other. And they are
Okay.
starting with the simple things.
Good
So remember
girl.
to practice those beginning
girl.
easy steps, those first, eye contact, name calls, the little details. Because the more that we practice those little things and make those strong habits, then the easier it is when you are outside with your puppy and out in the world and teaching these skills. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this webinar. I really enjoyed doing this presentation for you. Keep an eye on your email, and we will be sending out follow-up emails with lots more information for you on this topic. Okay, so great to talk to everyone today, and I hope you enjoyed it.